Jameel Ahmad in London. He's the Director of Investment Strategy at the fintech firm NAGA. Great to have you back with us, Jameel. We know there is a cap built into Bitcoin's source code that essentially limits the amount of Bitcoin that can be mined. So this scarcity has really helped to propel Bitcoin as more people buy into it. But can you tell us more about what's behind this recent record-breaking boom?
So essentially, if you look at Bitcoin price, since Q4 of 2020, which was October, we're actually up 6 times then. We went from $10,000 to as high as $60. If we look at the past 3 months, which is obviously starting from January 2021, we've actually seen prices double. And what it really has been is the adoption story of Bitcoin that's really added fuel to the fire for the rally. You named some of them in the intro, but for example, PayPal, MasterCard, Visa, all of these big financial institutions are adopting Bitcoin as either a payment method or into its own systems in the future. And this is really what's driving the rally of Bitcoin price. The magic number now, of course, since it passed 50,000 was 100,000. I also think that perhaps Bitcoin prices can continue to go higher, but we have to take into account that prices are up 6 times over the past 6 months. I think it's a little bit unrealistic to talk about 100,000 being the next immediate target, but essentially we could still see higher highs in Bitcoin, is what I'm saying, over the course of 2021.
That's incredible, isn't it? Now, what about this idea that Bitcoin can be used as a hedge against higher inflation and a weaker dollar? How does that work?
Personally, I don't really buy into this story so much. I think that when you look at this inflation and that Bitcoin can be used as a hedge, we're not really giving credit to the institutions that are adopting Bitcoin, because there's a lot of hard work behind the scenes. And we're just looking at reasons to articulate why the Bitcoin price is running. But essentially, this is what's happening in the inflation story. Central banks and governments have pumped huge amounts of money into the financial systems and the economy over the past year. Take President Biden's $1.9 trillion US stimulus package that just got approved at the end of last week is just one example of that. Now, because all of us have been in lockdowns for the past 1 year, mostly, demand for goods has been extremely compressed due to the lockdown restrictions and so on. As economies reopen up, we expect inflation to shoot higher, which is natural considering this very unprecedented event that we've had. And because of this, investors are then saying that perhaps Bitcoin can rally as an inflation hedge in the same way that gold could too. But I do think that central banks, regardless of inflation or not, are going to look at this as a very singular and freak event, this pandemic. I don't think they're going to move central bank interest rates anyway, regardless of what we see with the Treasury yields and the bond yield curve over the past couple of weeks.
Okay, Jameel Ahmad from NAGA in London. Thanks as always for your analysis. Appreciate it.